three different potential segues out of Vlad, but let's take the Zion one because this is something that I wanted to talk with Kendall about on the show, and I want to get the listener audience take feedback in the comments in the Facebook group, everywhere you want to bombard me with the Zion talk. I have been proud of myself. I haven't really talked about Zion that much until now. I think a lot of he's an easy low-hanging fruit target to go, oh, you could buy Zion low, blah, blah, blah. But I think we all needed to see some official word that he was cleared to play. And we also needed some kind of reputable news to tell us that what his future might look like in New Orleans. And so I wanted to talk about Zion on today's show, not to be clickbaity or anything, but to legitimately have a conversation about where I think Zion is right now. And so I'm going to lead off. I'm going to go first. And I'm going to just go out and say that I have a really, really, really good feeling about Zion Williamson moving into the future. And the reason why, there's a couple different reasons why. One is because we saw some legitimate, reputable news over the last few days that he's been cleared and he will be ready to play this upcoming season, 2022-23 season. That's a big deal. And we did not have that. We had the exact opposite of that. And so things, even though his surgery came late in the offseason and it was unexpected, and there were reports as to like maybe he could come back by training camp, maybe he could come back by the regular season opener, and then it was like, we don't know, he's out. When you, in hindsight, look at that timeline, there's nothing shady about it. It's just that's sports. The dude got injured, he played through it, and he wasn't going to have surgery. And then he did, and it was late. And surgery takes a long time to recover from. And everybody's different. And so was it a serious injury? Absolutely. Is it a serious concern that he had this injury? Absolutely. Has he now moved past the injury for all intents and purposes? Yes. Now, the other factor is his team. So back when I could have talked a lot about Zion during the NBA season, and I could have moved him up the sports card investment report considerably because his prices were so low. What we didn't know was how good are the Pelicans going to be? Where is he going to play? Is he going to is he going to like hold out and demand a trade somewhere, which is never good. It's never, like, name me a scenario where that's ever worked out for the player's performance in any sport, a holdout. It's just never does. And so, especially a guy like in his third or fourth year, early on in his career, if you're a veteran, if you're Aaron Rodgers, doesn't matter. But when you're Zion, it matters. So now the fact that he's basically come out and said, and believe him or not.
Look at what it did to Le'Veon Bell's career.
That's a great example. Le'Veon Bell had no reason to do that, and he basically he was the top running back in the NFL, and he has done nothing since that. And so that's exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, the Pelicans were amazing without him. They had a bunch of other players step up. They've got Herb Jones. They've got CJ McCollum. They've got Brandon Ingram. They've got Jonas Valanciunas. They've got Jose Alvarado. They've got all of a sudden all of these guys. They don't even need Zion. Now the tables have turned. Zion's like, oh shit, I want to play with these guys for Willie Green. We can win it all, and I think they can. And so now I'm thinking, not only is where maybe a couple months ago I was like, well, there's going to be this window where Zion's going to come back and he's going to average 30 points a game for a week, and then you need to sell him. Now I'm like, yeah, that's going to happen. And if he stays healthy, he could be in the NBA Finals next year. So now is Zion a buy? Kendall, feel free to absolutely shoot me down on this and give me some Zion hate, but that's my take on Zion right now.
I am staying a million miles away from this guy. Every sign that I can see for the foreseeable past is that I'm not impressed. Like, I will say I was super impressed with the what is that? Ball is Life. I think that was the original one, the original Facebook, like, Instagram-y stuff that, like, they were just posting kids just dunking on other kids when they're in like 8th grade. I think that was the first time I saw a Zion performance, and I was like, this guy's awesome. Looks like mini LeBron. And then, like, when he got older, I was like, this guy is awesome, but he's just going to be Blake Griffin light. Like, that's where I see the trajectory of Zion's career. I think in a couple of years, he's going to end up being the, like, 5th edition on a team that's trying to make the playoffs. I don't think like, people were like, oh, he's going to be LeBron. And I'm like, no, he's going to be Blake Griffin. You know, like, he's just going to be like this guy that tries to just bully his way to the basket. And although he does have a better jumper than Blake, I'll give him that. I think everything else surrounding his career, his health, his composure is pretty good. I'll give him that. Like, you know, like, he handles himself well. I will say that. But I think like the media surrounding him, this Pelicans, like, his family doesn't want to play with him. Grow up, dude. Like, this is your job. You know, I don't want to be the guy that's like the bootstrapper person, but, like, you were drafted by the Pelicans. You didn't want to go there originally. You know, like, there was in the very beginning, there was like, hey, Zion's going to the Pelicans. Maybe that's not where he wants to go. It doesn't, like, suit up. You now have the best team that possible that you could have. Get out there, and if you do want to make a career for yourself that's outside of just getting hurt and being a role player and maybe being Andrew Wiggins, you know, like what we talked about earlier, then you're going to have to prove yourself now. You don't get a pass like you did previously. You now have to prove yourself that you can, 1, stay healthy, 2, make a jump shot, 3, not just bully yourself to the basket. Guys are going to know how to play you now. And LeBron has spent millions of dollars in terms of preparing his body in a way that is going to prepare him to be elite. I don't think Zion does that. And I'm not talking about his dietary stuff and, like, how he's eating 1,000,000 McDoubles and he's never seen a beignet he doesn't like. That's like kind of fat shaming, and I'm not really into that. What I am saying is, like it broke down to, even I read an article one time about how LeBron had a guy come in and tell him how to fall correctly, like how to basically, like, protect your body on all avenues. And I don't think that a lot of players are thinking about this. I think this is like the main downfall of the brow.
Anthony Davis.
Like, Anthony Davis, the main downfall is, like, he's just there to play and he doesn't think he has to do anything else. Like, and I think that's what you're seeing in his career is great, but he hasn't taken care of himself to make himself that long-lasting player. And I think Zion has to learn that. And I hope he's learned that in this last 6, 7, 8 months. I hope he's learned this is going to take more than my talent. This is going to take more than me being stronger, faster, bigger than everyone else. I think this is it. If we see Zion come out as a different player, then I will be proven wrong. But until then, I'm not willing to put money behind him. And then, honestly, at that point, it might be too late. So I'm going to take my losses. I'd rather invest in LaMelo, Ja, all those guys, you know, in terms of that age level. I would put my money in Jordan Poole right now. If you were like, you have $1,000, you have to spend it right now on Jordan Poole or Zion, even though the price differentials, I'm still putting it on Jordan Poole.
Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, so I will say that I think that our conversation right here is probably the sample size that ultimately represents the entire sports card market, where it's probably 50-50. It's probably 50% of people going, this is an amazing opportunity. I'm gonna get in kind of on the sly here with some Zion stuff. Actually, the bigger part is that there's probably a ridiculous amount of people holding huge or at least semi-massive Zion stuff or Zion stuff that's truly important to their portfolio, their personal finances. And so they're waiting for this to happen so that they can sell Zion. For them, I hope that it actually happens. For people that want to buy Zion, I hope that it happens too, in the positive light that he comes out and he does do what Kendall's talking about. The greats have all done that. They've all taken everything seriously. You hear, if you watch The Last Dance, you know that Michael Jordan during the Space Jam shootings was facilitating his own practices against the best players in the world. You know that if you watch They Call Me Magic, that Irvin was doing the same thing with Isaiah in the offseason and facilitating his practices in Michigan in the offseason. And I mean, all the greats do it. Great examples of LeBron. There's no reason why a guy like Zion can't do this. It just, is he going to do it? Is he, Giannis is also starting to become famous for his workouts and his ability to stay healthy. And so, knock on wood, he stays healthy. But so, in conclusion on Zion, I think that there's people that are holding him that I think they're going to be in good shape. I really do. I think that people who buy him now are also going to have multiple windows to sell him at a profit. This is not me saying that he's a guaranteed GOAT, but I do think he goes from flyer right now to hero next year, to people feeling a lot better about him in general, just based on my intuition and what I'm seeing. And that might not be worth anything to any of you in the audience, but I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback. When it comes down to it, am I personally going to buy more Zion? No, I'm going to put my money into Giannis. Giannis, the way that I'm building my portfolio is I'm going from a basketball standpoint. I'm going Giannis on the GOAT side and Cameron Thomas of the Nets on the Flyer side, and probably not much in between. I'm not into heroes. That could actually be a good discussion for another day, why I'm not into heroes. We won't get into that too much today because we've got too much to talk about. But yeah, so that's my take on the Zion Williamson situation. I think it now is a great time to talk about it, because if you believe in him, then now is definitely a good time to buy, I think. So